Lauren Hughes. I am the PBIS coach at Prunes Crandall School. I've been creating videos the last 2 weeks around different ways to help manage some behaviors that might be coming up at home while we're doing distance learning. From what I've heard from a lot of teachers as well as parents within the district and at Crandall is that we're dealing with a lot of power struggles and arguments that might be happening with your kids at home, trying to get them to do work or just in general. So that brings us to the focus of this week's video will be on how to really take some positive steps to help manage your emotions in these moments and hopefully to de-escalate the situation and make the whole situation better for everybody involved. My favorite quote around this is that when little people are overwhelmed by big emotions, it is our job to share our calm, not join them in their chaos. That being said, I understand that us as adults also have some big emotions and reasons why we may not act our best selves in any given situation. This could be because we don't feel good, maybe we're hungry, maybe we're fighting with our significant others, work concerns, stress, you name it. We all have different reasons for why we might not be our best selves every day. But I always like to remind myself of in those moments where I might feel like I want to react based on any big emotions that I might be having in a situation, or I might be triggered by a kid's behavior, is that I am that model of how to appropriately manage those emotions. And if I'm not doing that well, I'm not teaching the kid appropriately either. So when we think of when kids have big emotions or tantrums, whatever you'd like to call them, it really kind of mimics a roller coaster. Things really start off pretty cool and calm, everything's fine, and then all of a sudden one thing happens. It really doesn't matter how big or small, that really starts them getting agitated. So depending on the severity of the situation or how emotional your kid is in that moment, it can ramp up pretty quickly. So you'll start to see them escalate until they finally hit a peak. So this peak of the escalation roller coaster can really look different for each kid. Some kids, maybe they will cry and scream. Others might just run into their room, start stomping around, and for others it could be completely shut down. So you know your kids and when they're at that peak. And eventually, after that peak, they will begin to calm down. That looks different for each kid. Some kids might start crying, some kids feel remorseful for whatever their behavior was at the peak, but they will eventually calm down. So the good thing is that just by how you react as the adult in these situations when they are at the peak of this escalation roller coaster can really determine how long it lasts and the intensity of it. So sticking with that proactive theme that we have been discussing in the last 2 videos, it really is best to intervene right when you see them beginning to get agitated before it really starts up the escalation. This is really the time when you can actually reason with your kid because there's not too many emotions involved. You could ask them to take a break, maybe provide some sort of alternate strategy, maybe they just need some help with something, and you can help problem solve around that. So because it's not reasonable to always be there and intervene in those beginning stages, we really have to know what to do for ourselves in those moments to keep calm and to help de-escalate that situation quick as possible. So the first step is when you start to notice that you're becoming overwhelmed with big emotions or you're starting to engage in that power struggle or argument with your child, is to really think of the next 2 questions. So the first question is, am I actually being triggered by something that my child is doing right now? And is it really my kid who's frustrating me? Or am I just becoming more upset because of some sort of outside factor? This outside factor could be work stressors, home stressors, whatever that might be that might make you more likely to get upset. By recognizing that it might be an outside factor just might help you calm yourself down more in those moments and really react to your child in a better way. So either way, you would use an alternate response to help prevent any further escalation of both yourself and of your child. And I'm sure you're saying, well, if it was that easy to just pick another response, we would all be doing it all the time. And I get that. I understand that as adults, we have our own individual buttons that our kids certainly know how to push. Once these buttons are pushed, it's really easy for us to also go up our escalation roller coaster as well. So some key features to choosing an alternate response in these moments is to make sure that 1, it's doable, 2, it's really easy and effective for you in those moments, as well as making sure that it interrupts the chain of events and really makes it stop in its tracks. One example of an alternate response would be just walking away. I think this is the most effective method, and I think it also shows to your kid that it's totally appropriate to walk away from a situation, kind of gather your thoughts so that you don't respond emotionally. You can also pair this with an I statement about, I feel frustrated right now. Mommy needs to go take a break. This just shows to your kid that you're human and that you have emotions, and so that you don't react in an inappropriate way, you're taking a conscious step to do something different. And hopefully that's modeling something for them to try for themselves in the future. Another option of an alternate response is acknowledging that your kid is upset in that moment. You can also pair this with stating the rule that they're breaking or whatever the expectation is that they should be following at that time. An example of this is, I see you're really frustrated right now, but we respect each other in this household. Short, simple, to the point, it acknowledges their emotion as well as tells them what you want them to be doing, that their behavior is not acceptable to you. You could also frame it as a question, so kind of putting it back on your kid, saying, so what is our expectation right now? What should we be doing when we're feeling frustrated? This can kind of serve dual purpose. It gives you a minute to kind of collect your thoughts while your child is responding, and it also helps them reflect on their behavior and think about the choices that they're making. And just remember that the most important thing is to take care of yourself in these moments. So whatever that looks like for you, taking a deep breath, walking away, just saying you need to go downstairs just to cool off. Just take care of yourself. So when you first start using these alternate responses, whether it's a break, phrasing it as a question, whatever that might be, you might see some pushback, and your kid might actually continue to engage, which might seem frustrating to you. That's completely normal because they're used to doing that method to get their way, and they're not getting the desired response that they want from you. Just remember, stay calm, you're doing your best, and that by continuing to be consistent and using the same type of responses with your kids when they get to this peak escalation will decrease those power struggles and hopefully decrease the intensity as well. Just give it some time. So one last thing before I finish up this video is that an old boss of mine once told me this quote, that anytime you as the adult begin engaging in an argument with a child, they've already won. This was a really strong statement for me to hear because I never looked at it that way. But really, it is so true. If we're letting kids hijack our emotions, we really just gave all of our power over to them. By using an alternate response and showing your child that you're not going to engage in a back and forth argument or power struggle with them, you're really being a positive model for them of how to handle those heightened emotions, as well as showing them that you are the one in control. So I hope you found this information to be useful. And if you are thinking to yourself, wow, I've been arguing with my child more than I normally did before, believe me, you're not alone. Everybody is having a hard time with getting their kids to do work and to not engage in power struggles, especially being cooped up in the house all the time together. But hopefully by taking these steps to remain calm and take care of ourselves in these moments, that this will create less of these power struggles moving forward. Again, reach out to me with any questions you might have, and I hope everybody's staying happy and safe.